Cursed. Cursed. We all go a little mad sometimes.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula.
I saw the boogeyman. I saw him outside.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey, Tomb Dwellers. Welcome to a brand new episode of Tomb of Terrors with me, Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another episode, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review on your favorite podcast app or become a patron, patreon.com/oldmanbrad. Make sure to follow me on social media. Just look for Old Man Brad on Blue Sky and Instagram, as well as Tomb of Terrors on Instagram. And of course, make sure you follow me on Letterboxd. Just look for Old Man Brad so you can see all the watches I do. And so the movie for this episode, I am actually pretty excited about. It is Hungry, the new killer hippo movie from James Nunn. It is hitting theaters June 3rd. It will be coming out on VOD later on in June. Honestly, I'm pretty pumped to talk about this one. And I also have an interview. I had the chance to talk with James Nunn about the film. Excited for you to hear that. Before we dive into all things Hungry, if you are in the Cincinnati area, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. So thankful to be partnered with the Esquire Theater to host a horror screening. And our screening for June, on June 19th, is Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. It will be finishing off our Undead series that I did. 3 months of zombie films. I absolutely love Manchester Morgue. But make sure you come out June 19th at 10 p.m. Let's watch a movie together. All right, get those appetites ready. Let's talk about Hungry.
Hey, come look at this.
What is?
It's the most dangerous animal, responsible for over 500 human deaths a year.
It's so cute.
Only cute hippo is a dead hippo.
Man-eaters.
Welcome to New Orleans.
We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. He has given us a discount to go see alligators in the bayou.
Please, arms and legs inside the vehicle.
A group of holidaymakers must fight for their lives against a rampaging hippo on the loose after becoming lost in the Louisiana swamplands. This is written and directed by James Nunn. It stars Madison Davenport, Tracy Bonner, Joaquim de Alameda, Michael Kirill, Samantha Coughlin, and others. And I'm going to tell you right up front, I've watched this movie twice now. It is the type of movie that you want to watch to kind of kick off your summer. Hungry just brings a full helping of hippo carnage that will satisfy your appetite. It is an absolute blast and so much fun. I'll dive a little bit more into that after our interview, but I'm kind of in love with this movie. Before I go too much further, let's move into my interview with James Nunn, and I will talk to you on the other side. In the new film Hungry, there's a hippo on the loose with an appetite for carnage. Joining me to chat all things hippo is the film's writer and director, James Nunn. How you doing today, James?
I'm well, thank you, Brad.
Let me ask you, how you're the writer and director on this. How did you kind of come up with the idea for this, kind of wanting to do a hippo movie?
Yeah, thank you, firstly, for having us on. So, a combination of things. I was the second unit director on a film called 47 Meters Down. It was a shark movie, came out about 10 years ago. And I just had such a fun experience working on that movie that I was looking for another creature feature that I could do, kind of involving a creature and water, because one of my specialities is working with water. So that was kind of like something I was looking for. So I just Googled, like, what animals are awful and can I make a movie about? And I came across hippos are, like, honestly one of the most territorial, dangerous animals on the planet. They kill like 500 people plus a year, which is like more than lions, sharks, elephants, everything combined. I think it's second only to like a mosquito or something. It's like really, they are just truly terrifying, and a lot of the deaths kind of go unregistered. And so I thought, well, there's my animal. It's going to be a hippo. And I had recently been to New Orleans at the time, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with Louisiana, and I'd done the like alligator tour, and I was like, this would be great for a movie. And then I was like, well, how do I get a hippo in New Orleans? And I Googled like hippos in America, and it just so happened that you have this really strange bit of history where during the meat shortage in like 1920, they very nearly did hippo ranching in Louisiana. It went all the way up the chain to like Teddy Roosevelt, and he even signed it off that they were going to bring African hippos to America and they were going to ranch them to like subsidize meat for Americans. Not only that, it was also going to solve a problem they had in the bayou at the time, which is it was being strangled by this particular plant called the water hyacinth. So it was going to be like a twofold problem solved. And I thought, well, that's it. That's my way in. So that's how I'm going to get hippos in America. So the original pitch for the movie was actually set in 1920 when it was like an origin story. They would try, it was a period heist movie with a hippo. Everyone just, they liked it, but they were like, this is way too complicated. Like, we love the hippo in America, but can you just make it a bit more less, easier to film and less period costumes and less period cars? This is going to be really expensive. So then I had a rethink and I thought, well, I'll keep the bones of what it is, but I'll make it current set and I'll just have it as if they kind of started this program in the 20s and then trialed it. It wasn't successful because for whatever reason, but some hippos were left behind. And that's kind of like the takeoff for the setting of the movie. So that's how it all came about. And then I let it percolate for 7 years. Nobody wanted to make it because they said hippos are cute, and no one was. Hippos are fun and cute and not they're funny to look at and not scary and stuff. And then it was a producer, a friend of mine called Ben Jakes at Signature Films called me about 3 years ago and said, hey, have you still got the hippo movie? We're looking for unique creature features. And I said, yes, I have. Let's make it.
I live in the, Fiona the hippo here in Cincinnati. So for us, we have a celebrity who's a hippo. So
oh, I'm sorry. There's more than one hippo story in America, I should have said. So,
but you mentioned 47 meters and you worked on shark bait, another creature feature around water and creatures. How was it different working with kind of like the hippo as your creature over sharks, kind of setting that up?
Yeah, well, I love making movies and I love creatures, and I love Jurassic Park is like my favorite movie of all time. So anything that involves an animal or we can have fun with an animatronic just sort of like really gets me going, I suppose. And 47 and then directing my own shark movies called Sharkbait were great sort of lessons, I suppose, in how to kind of like make this movie, because there was so much I learned on those jobs about the technical side, but also the storytelling side of like what you kind of need to do to tell a survival thriller that I couldn't have made Hungry before those movies, because I kind of needed that experience to get me to where we are. So yeah, there's obviously some crossover in terms of like the shark head and the hippo, but the biggest difference between the two creatures is, sharks generally can just move one way. I mean, they can't reverse, which Jaws 3 taught us, but they basically go forward when they swim, and you don't really have the same parallax. It's hard to tell a shark's speed because it's not like they're whipping past a building where you kind of get a sense of it. Like, they are just ripping through water. So there's only so much you can do visually with when you're telling a shark story, because it's just swimming in open air, swimming in space. Whereas with a hippo, you've got underwater, above water, on land. It's not just in open water either. Like, you've got trees, you've got roots, you've got earth, so what we were, there was a much more available to me in terms of how to tell the story of the attacks and how to tell the story of the hippo's mood and the way it acted. And so thoroughly enjoyed it. And if I get a chance to do it again, I will.
And the hippo, it's a mix of practical effects and CG, because obviously to get it to move quick, you need the CG. How is it filming that practical? Because the hippo head, was it a practical head for some close-up shots?
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. We had a life-size hippo head, adult head, which took 5 people to operate. So 2 people on the neck, 1 person on the jaw, 1 person on the tongue and the slime, and then 1 person on the ears. It was built by an incredible creature effects guy called Dan Martin and his team in England. And yeah, it was like, imagine Jurassic Park, imagine the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. It was just a fantastic rubber animatronic hippo head. And it had different things. You could unscrew the teeth and put fake teeth in and things like that. But you are correct in that you can only get that to move so fast. You can't like run that through water because it wet. And there was things about it that, like, as good as it was like you can't get it wet, because if you get it wet, it will like rip apart under its own. The foam in it will like get wet, and then the water, like the water, the weight of the water in the foam would like rip the jaw off. So it's fun. It's so fun shooting these things, but there are like rules and parameters to what you can do with them, and which are frustrating, but equally part of it. And you just learn to enjoy it, but and enjoy the problem solving of it. But yeah, we have hippo headshots. We also had 2 feet that took 2 people to kind of operate, and they were kind of articulated knee pieces, so they can kind of run and step on people and things. And then we had the CGI hippo that a wonderful company in England called Magic Dust did all of the hippo. And honestly, I just pinch myself how lucky we are, because I don't know if you've seen the movie or seen the trailer, but we're absolutely spoiled with the level of visual effects that we were able to kind of achieve on a budget. So I'm forever grateful to those guys.
I have seen the movie, and it's just a fun packed creature feature that's just it's a blast to watch. And did you film on location? You talked Louisiana. Did you film on location in Louisiana or kind of somewhere else and said, oh hey?
No, you would never guess where we filmed. So the main set for the movie is a set. We actually built a swamp. So we shot the movie in a European country called Malta, which is, if you're not sure where that is, that's where they shot Gladiator and one of the last Jurassic Worlds, I think Jurassic World 3. It's a beautiful island just south of Sicily, and we found a wooded area on the island that kind of felt like it could be forest, like bayou terrain. And then we built like a 50 by 50 meter swimming pool, which we filled to look like a swamp, and we built fiberglass trees in the middle of it. And that was all to do with the fact that obviously we didn't want to go to a real swamp and suffer, like bugs or dysentery or real alligators, or we needed the element of control. And also the original intent was to try and to like put a hippo on rails. And so we built all these things into the water, which we just wouldn't have been able to do in a real swamp. So we needed something that we can manage. And the weather at that time of year was 100% sun. So, it was all about control, and we shot in Malta, and then we had a unit in Louisiana just to do some aerials and GVs in the real swamp.
And can you speak to the cast? You kind of put them through the ringer, a lot of them through this. How did they rise to the challenge that you threw at them?
They were incredible. I was incredibly lucky with the cast that I got, and because I've done the underwater movies before, the way I pitch it is, look, obviously we go through the casting process, they send tapes, and we go through the casting directors and stuff, and you can see that they're going to be great performance wise. But where there's like a gray area of what you're going to get is that operating on this kind of movie, like I would call it a survival thriller, it's like an adventure shoot. It's not just sitting around a table or walking into a rooms, or you need to be comfortable with like being outside, getting wet. Not only are you wet, but like you got the wind hitting you, so you're getting cold. And I always try to frame it to everyone that like, look, we'll be as kind as we can to you, but this is going to feel a little bit real. Like you are going to feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. You're going to be cooking. You're going to be this, that. And generally people take that in a really good way. And they see it as like, oh, great. That's just part of the adventure. That's part of I'm going to use that for my performance, and I was thoroughly lucky that all members of the cast were just on board with, let's say, an adventure shoot. And they all got stuck in, and yes, we built that tank, but it wasn't heated. So there were night shoots in there, it's inherently cold, and we only filmed it like the week before, so we didn't have time for the sun to heat it up. So it wasn't like a warm tank, and they all gave it everything to like sell everything and sell the fact that there wasn't a hippo there and there should have been a hippo there. And yeah, I was just really truly blessed to have such a fantastic cast. But yeah, I tell them it's going to be an adventure shoot. And
About how long was your shoot?
5 weeks.
Okay.
So 5-day weeks, 3 of which were on land, and then the remainder were in the tank.
Were there any days that you could think of off the top of your head that just were more challenging than others, like setting up and shooting? I'm sure a lot of it is, but
everything's a challenge. I mean, that is what filmmaking is, kind of problem solving. Like I sort of alluded to it there. Like we built these rails and these specific wheels so that we could push the hippo through the water on these, and it would kind of chonk like the way when hippos run, they don't swim, they run on the floor, the seabed, I guess, or the riverbed, and they kind of like jump. And so we tried to kind of create something mechanical that would do that to save us the VFX, but of course it didn't work. It's like, and then you can't just go to the swimming pool and test like pushing that through the water. So, you try to do it on a boat, but then you're pulling it on like a little boat, and then it's like rolling, like lazily, like listing. You're like, there's nothing scary about that. So, yeah, of course. What happens is you have these, we call it champagne ideas, lemonade budget, right? So we have all these grandiose things that we want to do, and then you get there and you do it, and the problem with like a budget movie is that you don't have time to test stuff. So you're kind of learning as you go and trying to run with it and like try and promise, kind of like Spielberg and Jaws, right? Like, they did test the shark and it's still fucked up, but like, he's trying to come up with like the barrels to tell the story because he hasn't got a shark. And it's sort of a bit like that, less harrowing because we've learned the stories of Jaws, but similar. And you're looking at this like listing hippo that's like rolling away. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get that. It's scary. So there was some moments like that. And then the only time we really lost film time was Malta's this small, beautiful island in the middle of the Mediterranean, but it is literally like 20 miles across. And there was a thunderstorm that rolled across the ocean. And if you're within like 5 miles of a thunderstorm, we had these fiberglass metal rod trees in the middle of a pool. There's no way I'm allowed to film in that. And even the lights that we had above started to get interference from the electrical, and they just started going off like a disco. So they all of a sudden, like, you can program the color of them, and they just started like flashing red and green. It was like being in a nightclub swamp. So obviously you have to just pull everyone off the set and be like, right, we can't do anything till this blows over. And I think on that particular night, it took about 5 or 6 hours. That was the only time we really lost time on the show.
James, we're kind of coming up to the end. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chatting with me. And everyone, Hungry hits theaters here June 3rd. Go check it out. It's a blast. Like, for real, it's a total blast. Where can people kind of either follow along to you or the film to kind of see its journey if they don't make it out right away?
Yeah, great. Thank you for plug. Let's do the plug. I'm on social media at Mr. James Nunn, Instagram, Twitter, etc. From there, you'll find all the Hungry accounts, but at Hungry Movie 2026, I think, is the official account. Also, Capture, at Capture International, are putting lots of teaser stuff out there at the moment. So yeah, follow me and you'll see the other week, because we all link, so we all share it. And then the actors are Madison Davenport, Jim Meskimin, Joaquim Dalmeida. They've all got Instagram handles, so I should try and find an eloquent way of putting those together, or maybe you can put them on your link. But they're pretty easy to find. And I just hope everyone sees it. Hope everyone enjoys it. Hope we did justice to being the kind of first hippo movie, I suppose you could call us that. And if we get to do it again, I'd love to.
Well, thank you again, and I wish you all the best with the movie.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate your time.
I want to thank James again for taking time out of his day to chat with me. I was pretty excited to be able to chat with him, and hearing the conversation about how they kind of built this pool, how he did the hippos, and he's worked on shark films before, 47 Meters Down, Shark Bait, and how they worked on setting this up. It was a cool behind the scenes chat about this film. Hungry, as the synopsis says, you have this group on a vacation. They're taking a kind of a swamp tour in Louisiana, and they are trying to look for alligators. Their tour guide says, I can take you out to see alligators. There's this one big one that you can see. I've taken an alligator tour in Florida. It's kind of fun. Some things happen. They find an alligator dead. Then their boat gets hit. They're stranded, trying to fight for whatever it is that is getting him. You find out it's a hippo. And it's just carnage from there. This is the epitome of a good, fun popcorn flick. Like, for real. It's just full-on hippos coming after them. You have some good bloody moments. There are a few moments I kind of wish it would have went further or not kind of cut away. But you know what? I still had a blast with this. I enjoyed it the first time. I enjoyed it even more the second time I watched it. Just totally getting into the hippo carnage. Of course, the movie's called Hungry, and it has hippos. Inspired by Hungry, Hungry Hippos. There is a moment in the movie at the very beginning that kind of has a little bit of a Hungry Hippos nod to it. I'm not going to say exactly what it is that happens. If you see the movie, kind of pay close attention to the beginning with something kind of floating, the way something's floating in the water when the hippo comes. I'll just say that. But the way they brought hippos to the swamps of Louisiana, James said in the interview, kind of researching the backstory of when the hippos were brought over to America, and these moments basically kind of like setting up why is there still a hippo here in Louisiana? And it works. It totally works for this movie. And at the beginning, it kind of feels like you're going to get into, I don't know, let's almost say like a Jumanji or kind of a fun adventure like that. Because they're in the swamps. They're on this boat. It's a group of vacationers that, they're there for different reasons, going on this tour. And then the shit hits the fan. And then they have to try to work together to survive. Of course, not all of them do. And it's just a good time. I'm serious. Like, I will own this on physical media if it gets a release, which I really, really hope it gets a Blu-ray release, because I will buy this. This is one of those movies that I'll be able to easily, I want to watch some animal carnage. I'm going to throw on Hungry, watch some hippos, take out some people, just kind of like you do on some of the terrible shark films that are out there. There are some of those shark films that I wouldn't do that, and I haven't seen 47 Meters Down, but I have seen Shark Bait, which isn't a bad movie. It's not perfect, but it has some enjoyable moments for sure. Go check out Hungry. If you get a chance to see it in the theater, comes out June 3rd. If not, put it on that watch list, because it's an absolute blast. And as I said, it's full of hippo carnage that will just satisfy that appetite. Full-on popcorn movie summer flick. All right, so double feature. What's a double feature that would go well with Hungry? Do I do Deep Blue Sea? Do some sharks? Do I do Cruel Jaws because it's so bad it's good? Do I do like Cocaine Bear? Do I do, I don't know, so many other host of killer creature films? It was tough to decide, but figured one out as I kind of thought through. I'm looking at my physical media of movies that I have on various platforms, and I came across one that would go with hippo, with the killer hippo as our double feature, and that is Alligator from 1980, movie that stars Robert Forster. I have this on 4K. Love Alligator. It is just a good, almost like a Jaws-esque kind of movie. Has some good kills, some good kind of mystery to it. I feel like it would play well with Hungry. So that's the double feature for this episode. Alligator and Hungry. Are you hungry for an alligator? Or is the alligator hungry? Well, I don't know. Which way would you watch them? I think I would watch Alligator first and then Hungry. That's my personal choice. That's my double feature for this episode. Well, that will do it for this episode of Tomb of Terrors. Thank you so much for everybody who listens. If you don't already, subscribe to the show so you don't miss any episodes that happen over here, whether it's these interview episodes, short reviews that I do, Tales from Tubi, verses that I do with my wife, or The Year of Paul Naschy, where I am doing one Paul Naschy movie a month with a special guest over here on the show. I will have additional reviews over on my YouTube channel. Just look for Tomb of Terrors as well as Patreon. I'm going to have at least 20 Paul Naschy movies that I will have reviewed by the end of the year. If you subscribe, you'll never miss anything that drops over here. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.